Hello, friends. My name is host Eric, and I'm the host of Talking with Famous People. And as you may know, if you've watched a bit of this channel recently, I am currently engaged in an ongoing project, preparation, so to speak, with Cameron and Rachel. Rachel and I are making a channel, and I've asked Cameron to help some with the icons and such. And because I want to break this thing down when we're making this new channel in a way that has as little jargon to it as possible. And so Cameron's helping with turning concepts into icons so I can have little visual representations. And I wanted to go over this slot mechanics thing. So one of the challenges in describing cognitive functions in general is that whatever metaphor you use is going to probably run afoul of at least some of the necessity of accounting for the different kinds of functions. So in other words, a dominant function here I have as your cup overfloweth with it, right? It's spewing out liquid from the top of the cup. Here's the deal. That's a good metaphor for an action type because it's doing something. But it's not such a good metaphor for a knowledge type. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and describe your slots in the following way with a frame of reference that says how you're going to engage with another person in some sense, okay? You can think of your dominant function as your cup overfloweth. Your tool function is a key. Your scorecard function is the lock. Your need function as a bigger sponge, because after all, your cup overflows, so you need a bigger sponge. So you see here the 1 4 are a pair that match together. The 2 3 match together, key and lock. Spill and sponge match equivalently. Now on the back slot, you have your on the back side you have your fifth slot. Fifth slot is empty cups. So your cup is overflowing. What you really need is a bigger sponge to mop it up. But you find yourself often flipping through catalogs looking at pictures of empty cups, wishing that you had more cups around to fill, right? Rather than having to sponge it up. Which is to say, you also are an expert kind of on the quality of empty cups because you yourself are a cup filler. You value a high quality empty cup, and you like to consider the qualities thereof. Your demonstrative function, 6 slot function, is like having a key loop that has a bunch of different similar looking keys on it, and trying to find which key is the key you're gonna actually use to turn. So if your tool function is turning a key, your demonstrative function is finding the key you need to use to turn. In other words, another way to put it is this: if your tool function is a key, then your demonstrative function is basically looking for your keys, having them on you, making sure you have your keys with you when you need to turn them, etc. It's the kind of underlying background work you need to do to make sure that turning keys is not just something you do because it's how you do things, but that it actually produces meaningful results as adjudicated through other people's way of being. I'm not sure if finding the right key on the loop is exactly the right analog here, but it's the best one I could come up with. Maybe another way you could put that would be like the jangle of carrying a big bunch of keys, I guess. So anyway, empty cups, the 5th, goes with the 8th, dishwasher. Naturally, if you have empty cups, then you're going to have they need to be clean. Dishwasher is how cups get empty cups get ready for meow. So this is you might call automatic. The dishwasher is automatic. You don't really think about the fact that dirtying dishes means you're gonna have to wash them, but you do wash them when you need to, and you don't when you don't. So this is a metaphor here, and even I can tell, and I'm not a very visual person, that it is going to be much more useful to convey with images than it is in words like this. So, in other words, if you compare two people in an intertype relation, and you look to see, okay, my cup overfloweth with extroverted intuition. So I'm going to be needing more introverted sensing, but preferring more introverted intuition. My tool function is introverted thinking, which I need to use, which I consistently do use, to attain outcomes in my third slot function, extroverted feeling, which is I use my tool function to make people think I'm smart. However, in order to use my tool function for broader purposes than that, in other words, that's for my own purposes, I use my tool function to make people think I'm smart. But that's not what other people find useful about my tool function. They need me to actually render my smartness into concrete, usable protocols and ordinalities that accomplish something. So the exact example for me would be making lesson plans. When I was a director of a school, I had to make a whole bunch of lesson plans. That's my 6 slot TE that I am having to use to make my tool slot, to make the tool that I use, turning keys, do something that's valuable to others, namely something they can use in their business, rather than just valuable to me, namely them thinking I'm smart. All right, so the 7 slot function you can call your cage, basically your bird cage, and it opens only when it's safe for the bird. To be safe for the bird, then you need to have basically an adequately sized sponge. You need to have adequate access to empty cups, and you need to have successfully managed a means of consistently finding the right key on the loop, because that's the only way that, or I guess you'd say opening other people's doors or something, opening doors for people, for others, So you have multiple keys because you got to open doors for others. You can't just open your own doors. Or unlocking other people's locks, I guess. Like I say, I guess maybe like dealing with people who lock themselves out of their apartment. Assisting when people lock themselves out. Look, I have all these keys. I like using these keys, but I like using them for the locks that I have at home. I don't want to have to go over there and use it on your lock, basically. But I will if I have to. So, cage. The cage being your polar. Note that it's also your place of least resistance, because what's the most defenseless creature in the world is a bird in a cage. It can't get away from you, and it can't get out to attack you. However, if it's safe and you let the bird out and it's flying around, it's a very skittish bird. It can have a lot of fun, but it needs to go back into the cage or else it doesn't feel safe. But it's not actually safe in the cage, right? So the thing is, that's very much like your polar function. And my point here would be, I guess, that you only really get to open that cage safely and correctly and to good effect when everything else is handled. You've got enough empty cups, they're all clean from the dishwasher. You've dealt with everybody who's called you and said, I locked myself out again, can you come let me in? You've successfully turned your key for your own purposes and gotten everybody to think you're smart or funny or warm or whatever. And you've that's just for me again, this is for ENTP as an example. And you have an adequately big sponge so that the constant spillage doesn't create too big of a mess. Then the birdcage unlocks. comfortably, regularly, on a natural way. So for me, that plays out as I experience lots of safe FI. I'm not worried about somebody using my introverted feelings, my authentic expression of feelings against me, or or it producing problems, because um, when you've successfully gotten all the other pieces in place, as one tends to do more so of as one gets older. And this is a temporary state of being, of course, too. Just because right now my sponge is big enough doesn't mean it's going to stay big enough. Just because right now I have enough clean, empty cups doesn't mean there's always going to be enough clean, empty cups. Just because right now nobody's asking me to let them in the door doesn't mean I'm not going to get another call soon, right? So people go through different stages in their lives. When they're in their most balanced, comfortable stage of their life, they're able to let the bird out of the cage quite a bit safely. But that's not necessarily their optimal state of being, because, for example, you have to be very balanced to get to that spot, or at least the more balanced you are, the more it helps to get to that spot. But that's not necessarily the best way to accomplish other kinds of outcomes that require a configural imbalance. So the best car for you to have as a drive around car is very different from the best car for you to have to win the Indy 500. Uh, just because this one car goes super fast, its fastest car doesn't mean that it's the best choice for you as a car. Nevertheless, if you're trying to win a race, it is the best choice. So, in that regard, circumstances impact a person's relationship with these various functions. If circumstances are forcing you to constantly assist people when they lock themselves out, you're going to increasingly feel resentful and like you're not getting what you need in life. If the world is constantly making you not just use your automatic dishwasher, but also wash extra dishes in the sink that are dirty, you're going to start feeling resentful pretty quick. If people keep poking your bird, it's going to take you a while to realize that they're poking your bird, because as far as you know, the only way you can get into there is by unlocking the cage. It doesn't occur to you that they can poke through the slats. If instead of a sponge in your immediate environment that's willing to soak up your extra cup overfloweth, instead you have like your cup overfloweth with bleach, and around you have somebody whose cup overfloweth with ammonia, then your combined cups overflowething will create poison gas. And so this metaphor I think will be useful in dealing with the intertype relations channel that Rachel and I are continuing to put together here, both conceptually and like basically, well, as far as this stuff that we're doing now is also sort of part of the branding, but basically once I've got the whole proof of concept down, in other words, I've got all the basic icons, symbols, and stuff down, we're going to do a video. We'll try it a few different ways, and it takes me a while to NI it down to its optimal format. When Rachel recognizes something is meow when it should be meow, or otherwise she'll chime in with her own NI, which is nice. I can always rely on her to basically not give me the subtle cue that I'm done until I'm done. So I'm excited about this project, and I find it interesting to be working in this angle, which is so contraindicative of the way I normally work. Namely, I'm really trying to excise from this presentational approach everything that requires a lot of abstraction. I want things to be just to be clearly understood metaphorically, and to be not understood really at all on a TI level. It require no TI to understand it. And so, that's why we've got things like a lightning bolt for action, and we've got two hands coming out from a single wrist, one with a screwdriver and one shaking hands for interface functions, your FE, your TE. We've got a scale. One side of the scale is a calculator, one side of the scale is a heart for your deliberation functions. And then we're talking about a brain that that has one half of it indicating like maybe this picture we haven't done yet, I guess, but I got one half light bulb and one half a book. Brain that's got one half that has a light bulb on and one half of it a book. So SI being things you learn from going out and learning them. NI being intuitive ahas about things. It could be Sherlock Holmes. I think that's really the only picture that I think Cameron and I haven't exactly finalized is the brain one. So he's gotten a lot of them done already. He's got the lightning bolt. He's got the key, the lock. He's got the scale done and the interface done. So it's like we're almost done with these icons, and then it's going to be a matter of how I show visually, like match them up side by side for the two types that I'm discussing and show how, oh, look, see, there's a big sponge here and there's a spill here. So that's good. Spill goes with sponge. Key goes with lock, like that. So anyway, just doing the legwork here of that I need to do to make sure I'm continuing to conceptually winnow down to what exactly this is and make continuing progress on it, keeping myself accountable and so forth. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.